Hello, brave explorers and intrepid adventurers. You're looking good. I hope your day is going great. And if it's not, just hang in there. Tomorrow will be better. So in our first episode, I shared with you how the dream ended. The boat was ready, the house was sold, and the marriage I thought I was still living in had ended. And I was left standing there wondering how the woman that I had loved for decades and who I thought loved me was gone, without a trace, and not coming back to the boat. Not now, not later, never. This episode is about what happened after the shock. Because when somebody leaves you suddenly, they desert you and disappear, the shock lingers, and it doesn't go away right away. Your mind cannot accept it all at once. This can't be happening. If she sees that I'll go into a rehab, inpatient, serious hospital, that'll show her that I really want to please her. I know she hadn't really ever been thrilled about me drinking. She was not a drinker at all. Teetotaler, whatever you call it. But I was always loving my cold beer. Ever since I was like 15. You know, sometimes when you drink too regularly, you start making some bad decisions under the influence. And that's not an excuse, but it is an explanation. The first thing when I gave them information to the Ashley Center, they wanted to know emergency contact, and I, of course, listed my wife. Evidently, they called her because then they called me back and said, your wife refuses to be your emergency contact. As I got to the front gates of the Ashley Center, I got a call from the administration of the Ashley Center, and they said, we can't let you in. I said, why not? We need a COVID pickup person because if while you're in treatment you get COVID, you can't just take an Uber out. You have to give us the name of someone to pick you up, and it's usually your spouse since you're married. But we called Amy, and she said she would not be your COVID pickup person. So that kind of gave me a little warning, a little omen of things to come. But I still, hope springs eternal in the human heart. And so I had to call a friend up, and they vouched for me, and they told the administration that if I got COVID, they would come pick me up. So I'll never forget the day that I drove up that long driveway, went into the Ashley Center. I didn't know what to expect. I just remember I was just absolutely broken. I was realizing all the time that she really was gone. She didn't even want to be my emergency contact. She didn't even want to be my COVID pickup person. It was awful. I wouldn't wish that kind of emotional experience to my worst enemy. I did try to stop beer, and I had a hard time stopping. In fact, some of you might remember an episode where I fell off the boat and was rescued by a wonderful Vietnam veteran. Well, revisit that episode, because what's not listed in that particular episode was that it was late at night. I just drank 4 16-ounce Millers and went up on deck at night, to film something, like there's going to be something to film in the dark. And that's how I fell off the boat. After that, I tried to quit. I started a program called naltrexone, where you would take a pill 1 hour before you're going to drink whatever you want. And over time, it basically affects the part of the brain that enjoys the feeling of the alcohol. And within 6 months, every time you drink, it just doesn't feel great. So I started that. After about a month of the beers tasting like nothing, I drank wine one night and I was like, it tastes like lemonade. I began to throw the pill away because, I wanted my cold beers, and, I didn't really see it as a problem. But clearly, it was a problem. Now, one good thing was that I called my old Army father and told him on my way in I was going into a rehab. And he said to me, son, I'm really proud of you. It takes a real man to admit that you've got an issue and a problem and you want to stop drinking. But yeah, I was really blessed by my father, his support, and not only that, but his respect. One of the things I really looked forward to at Ashley was the family program, because there's a process where they contact the family. I was hoping it would be Amy, but she didn't want anything to do with it or with me. So my daughter was the one who was the family program. They contacted her. They sent her a video on describing the medical issues involved with people that are drawn to overdrinking and some of the science behind it. And they then schedule a meeting with her and the counselor, separate from the patient. And then finally, they set up an appointment with the family and the patient and the counselor. So I was really looking forward to it. So I went up there to have my family meeting. I felt so alone, so disconnected. And this is about the third week that I was there. The counselor came out and he said, "We canceled the family meeting." I was like, "Why? I was really looking forward to it. It's my daughter." They said, "Well, actually, your daughter is not interested in supporting your recovery. She's interested in punishing you. And she said that you need to face the legal and financial consequences of your bad behavior." I was really devastated to hear that. Divorce is difficult. I guess children have to take sides. But I thought my kids were old enough to understand that it takes two people to make a marriage. But regardless, this is part of the brokenness that I went through. Loss of family, loss of home, and I began to get suicidal. When I walked out of that 30-day treatment facility, there was no home waiting, there was no wife waiting, there was no children waiting, there was no family. And the discharge counseling process really urged me, whatever you do, do not return to the boat because you'll be isolated there even more. Instead, since you don't have a home, you need to go live in a halfway house with other alcoholics and young drug addicts. So to show my willingness to Amy that I would do anything and not return to the boat, I went into a halfway house. Yeah. This next episode will describe what that was like for me. Someone that was used to living in nice homes, having to live in a little corner of a room with other young roommates and a little tiny twin bed. It was very humbling. 64 years old, going into a halfway house. And what's worse, I was there for 6 months. And if you're a hater and you want to send me judgmental things, you know what? Go ahead. I don't really care. Nothing really hurts me anymore. I've kind of been through hell. So yeah, send me your judgments if you want. If you're a friend of mine, please comment. And thanks for following along this story, because although it does get worse, it does get better, because you can't keep a good man down.